Welcome back to Serving Challenge. We are embarking on a 40-day journey that in the end is going to lead to more purpose, meaning, fulfillment, and joy than you probably ever thought possible. In this 40 days, I'm challenging you to serve like Jesus, and we're learning from the master servant himself, Jesus. Today we're at a cool location here in Lincoln, Nebraska. It's called Robbers Cave. And when I say cool, I'm talking like literally cool. It's 55 degrees year-round, feels just right. And so thus far in our 40-day journey, last week video, we talked about the importance of attitude, that before we go out and serve and try to make a difference in this world or do all these things, we got to make sure our attitude, our heart, our mind is in the right place. We remembered that we're not serving, of course, to make our name great. We're not serving even to earn our salvation or earn God's favor. He's already given that to us. We're not even serving to check boxes or like because we have to. We're serving because we want to, because Jesus first served us and loved us. So then, once we got the right attitude, we're totally ready to serve. Or are we? That's the question I want to explore. As I look to Jesus, even before he descended and came down into this world, think about how busy he was controlling all of creation. And the fact that Jesus would come down into our world to make himself available to you and I, to rescue us from our sin, is quite incredible. In fact, I love the way it says it in Philippians 2, verse 6 in our Christ hymn. It says that Jesus, being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage, but rather he made himself nothing. When I read that line, I'm in awe that Jesus would descend and come down and be available to come and get us. Isn't that amazing that God would do that for someone like you? And so that's the question I want to ask you in this video is, are you available to serve others? Because I think honestly, there's a lot of us that are listening to this that we maybe have the right attitude. It's coming from the right place now, and we have the right intention. We want to serve, but sometimes the reason we don't is a really practical reason. We just feel like we don't have the time. We're maxed out, our calendar's full, we have no margin. In fact, when you talk to people and ask them how they're doing, one of the most common refrains I usually hear is busy, or good, just busy, or busy season. And however ways we say it, it means the same thing. We're feeling too maxed out. Stress levels are at all-time highs. When will we realize that just filling a calendar doesn't always equal a fulfilled life? From 2000 to 2007, Michael Zigarelli conducted a study at the Charleston Southern University School of Business. More than 20,000 Christians were involved, 20,000 people that profess a faith in Jesus. And they found that one of the top deterrents for a quality spiritual life was busyness. And right at the top of that list was pastors, right next to doctors and lawyers. And so I'm not speaking from a pedestal here, but I'm saying, man, something about our busyness levels just isn't right. Corrie ten Boom once said, if the devil can't make you bad, he'll make you busy. And so how busy though are we? I think sometimes we feel like we are, we say that we are, but are we really? In fact, the study was commissioned 2000 to 2007, which was the 7 years prior to smartphones being owned. And I would say the world's gotten more complex and complicated since then for sure. New research is showing that the average person is 4 to 5 hours on their devices, maybe an hour or two every single day on social media. And so are we really busy, or could it be that the things that we're looking to give us rest and peace are actually empty pursuits and trivial and leaving us more rushed and frantic in the end? And so I don't know how busy and rushed and frantic you're feeling, but when we follow the ways of this world, we're going to continue to just sort of follow into the norms, and the norms are rush and hurry and frantic and frenzy. But God offers us a different way, a way that says you don't need to go up, 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 and up. Rather, a way that says you can serve others and go down, because so many have reached the top of whatever it is, and they found that at the top, if Jesus isn't there, that's as empty and as hollow of a pursuit as the very cave I'm in right now. Believe it or not, Nebraska's not really known for its caves. That doesn't shock you, I'm sure. Steak, corn, and maybe 90s college football, but not caves. In fact, the one I'm here in Lincoln is literally the only cave in all of Nebraska. And it's got kind of a cool story to it. The walls are made of sandstone, which has allowed people to leave their marks on the wall. And so you literally have history on these walls, good, bad, and in the middle. And much like these walls, people have left their mark. Don't you know that you and I also leave our mark in this world, good, bad, or in the middle? And so my question to you is, what mark are you leaving in the world? Or are you too busy to even think about it? You know that word busy, I've used it a lot. I want to clear something up. Being busy isn't bad. It's not wrong to have a lot on the calendar. It's certainly not wrong to enjoy all the amazing things that God puts in His creation. I think you can even make the case, as we've said, that Jesus was extremely busy. But there was something different about Him, right? One of my favorite theologians, Dallas Willard, was once asked, if you have one word to describe Jesus, what would that word be? What would you say? I know for me, I would think of words like friend, Savior, Lord, Redeemer, love, grace. But none of those are what Dallas said. So Dallas thought about the question, pondered it, and smiled, and in no hurry, he came up with this word, relaxed. Relaxed. That's not the first, 10th, or 100th word I would have thought of. But the more you sit with it, you see truth in it. That Jesus, having the most important task given to any human being, was in this world and had a lot on His plate, but He was never hurried. He was relaxed. If you look at the four Gospels, you see it over and over and over again. You see Jesus interacting with people that nobody in this world would give the time of day. He goes out of His way to befriend a man named Zacchaeus, a chief tax collector that everybody else hated. The longest one-on-one recorded conversation was between Jesus and a Samaritan woman. And Jews and Samaritans didn't culturally associate with one another. And it's the longest conversation He has with anybody, being available to serve those in need. There was another story where Jesus was on His way to heal a 12-year-old girl that had died. And so He was literally in a life and death situation. And another woman in the midst of a violently pressing crowd touches the hem of His garment. And rather than continuing on His journey, He stops everything, has a conversation with the woman, and heals and restores her. But the one that got me the most, Jesus was literally hanging on the cross, paying for the sins of the whole world. And I think if any of us would have ever been like, Jesus, it's okay to think about yourself and not others at this point, would have been that moment. And yet, in the midst of that, when a criminal that just moments earlier was mocking Him asks Jesus to remember him in His kingdom, Jesus gives him the time of day, gives him a hope and a promise that tomorrow he would be with him in paradise. Jesus was very, very busy with the most important job of any of all time, and yet He always had time to serve those in need. He was available to those. And so as we think about Jesus and how He was available, what mark are you leaving? Are you available to serve those in need around you? Jesus was busy, but He wasn't rushed. Jesus had important things to do, but it wasn't in a frenzy. And so, are you busy? Are you too busy? I mentioned earlier, Dallas Willard described Jesus with this word, relaxed. There was another time that a young pastor sat with Dallas, and his pastor was feeling very frenzied. And he asked him the question, what must I do to become the me that I want to be? And it's a great question. And Dallas, true to his nature, thought about it, pondered, and in a relaxed form said, you must ruthlessly eliminate hurry from your life. And the pastor jotted down the notes. Okay, great. Eliminate hurry. What next? And Dallas said, that's it. Hurry is the great spiritual enemy in our day. Wow. Can I just say convicted right there? I think that's a really awesome question for me and for you to think about. What must we do to become the people that we want to be? I don't know if we think about that often enough, because sometimes the ways of this world pulls us so much that we get caught up in the frenzy and the fast pace of this world that we start chasing after things that even if we get them, we're like, that's not even the person that I wanted to be. Sometimes even my mindset can go so futuristic, and I think if I can only get to that day, or if I get to this place, or if I have this here, then everything will be great. But I don't even know that if I get there, again, will I be the person that I want to be, that God wants me to be? Have you ever noticed that the words hurry and hurricane, they have the same prefix, they're in the same family? And I don't know about you, but I'm tired of my life feeling like a hurricane, being tossed to and fro and just totally out of control. Jesus offers us a better way, not a way that tries to accumulate as much as we can and just gets caught up in the fast pace of this world, but rather a way to serve others and help them not only experience Jesus, but to flourish in their lives today. But here's the reality. We're going to talk about ability later in the 40-day challenge. I think ability is really important. God's uniquely wired and gifted you. But did you know that you can have all the ability in the world, but if you don't have availability, then it doesn't really matter? In God's economy, God works way more through the available than the able. And so, are you available?